on the other side of the city in Lady Ramkin's dragon kennels, something extraordinary was happening. They were exploding. Swamp dragons shot out of the wreckage like champagne corks, wings whirring frantically. And from the midst of the chaos rose Errol, a piece of roof tile still spinning on his head, balancing nicely on his own flame. All of this was clearly visible from the courtyard.
Oh, my. That's rather unique.
They can rearrange their own plumbing to suit circumstances. He's made it work in reverse. But his genes, surely he must have been halfway there already. No wonder he has such stubby wings. His body must have known he wasn't going to need them except to steer.
We're watching the first dragon ever to flame backwards.
How do they fight? How do dragons fight?
That is, well, they just sort of flap at each other and blow flame. Swamp dragons, that is. I mean, who's ever seen a noble dragon fight?
Hello, Captain.
You? We saw the explosion. I thought you three were dead.
We're not.
Oh, good. What do you reckon on this fight, then?
I'm afraid it's not going to work.
Well, what do you mean it's not going to work? Look at him go! It hasn't hit him yet.
Yes, but his flame has touched it several times. It doesn't seem to have any effect. It's not hot enough, I think. Oh, he's dodging well, but he's got to be lucky every time. It only has to be lucky once.
You mean all this is just show? He's just doing it to impress? Oh, he's gone. He just up and flew away.
Don't you worry, Gov. He's probably gone to have a drink or something. Maybe that's the end of round 1 or something.
I've never seen that before. Dragons normally fight to the death.
Well, at last they've bred a sensible one. Let's be honest, the chances of a dragon the size of Errol beating something that big are 1,000,000 to 1.
1,000,000 to 1?
Definitely 1,000,000 to 1.
1,000,000 to 1.
1,000,000 to 1.
That's right, 1,000,000 to 1. But it might just work.
What are you talking about? There's no possible... Whoa.
Several things are going to happen at once here, so we're going to use stop-motion audio to illustrate them. First, Errol came rocketing along the plains, the ground plowing itself up just a little ways behind him. He passed over the courtyard and sped off toward the sea at an unbelievable speed. Just as people were lamenting that he'd missed, the air ruptured. An endless thunderclap of noise dragged across the city, smashing tiles, toppling chimneys. In midair, the king was picked up, flattened out, and spun like a top in the sonic wash. Magic crackled along its wings. It screamed like a distressed foghorn. And then it made a crash landing in the middle of the courtyard.
Oh, it's not dead, just stunned. It survived something that tore masonry apart. No, Errol, you're letting it get up. You're not supposed to let it get up. Don't let it get up, Errol!
That's not right. They never usually fight like that. The winner usually kills the loser.
It's like... It's as if he's fussing over it.
Add up the bastard!
Total, Nobby, you mean total!
Oh, of course! I should have thought of it before. It was such a hot flame, of course! And they're always so much more territorial than the males.
The males? You don't mean... Oh.
Why don't you fight the bastard?
Bitch, Nobby. Not bastard, bitch.
Why don't you fight? What?
It's of the female persuasion. It's a girl.
But it's sodding enormous! Fine figure of a dragon, I mean.
Oh, shut up. You men come with me. We've got to get to the palace.
But what about the queen?
That's up to Errol now. Now let's go!
The rank hurried along to the palace, where inside Lupine Wonse was getting a rather nasty surprise.
Ah, Wonse.
You? But you were in the dungeon. How did you... Never mind. You can't stop me. I've got some magic stuff left. I'll bring another one.
What?
You'll see.
I urge you not to.
You think that you're in control, don't you, veterinary? Well, I still have the palace guards on my side, so it's back to the cells for you, and this time I will make sure that you stay there. Guards! Guards! Take him away! Fetch more scorpions! Put him in the... You're not the...
Put the sword down.
Ah, Vimes.
Oh, shut up. Lance Constable Carrot, read the prisoner's rights.
Yes, sir. Lupin Wonse, it is my duty to inform you that you have been arrested and will be charged with a number of offenses of murder by means of a blunt instrument, to wit, a dragon. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right not to be summarily thrown into a piranha tank. You have the right to trial by ordeal. You have the right to...
You'll be sorry. You'll all be very sorry.
That's it then. Throw the book at him, Carrot.
Right, sir.
What are you now?
Vimes remembered too late that dwarves have trouble with metaphors. The laws and ordinances of Ankh and Morport caught Lupin once on the forehead. He blinked, staggered, and dropped backwards over the ledge into the ruins of the destroyed palace interior. It was the longest step he ever took. For one thing, it lasted the rest of his life. After several seconds, they heard him hit 5 stories below.
What a way to go. Killed by a metaphor.
I don't know. Looks like the ground to me.
Very well done, young man. Possibly not what the captain had in mind, but well done nevertheless. Captain Vimes, I suggest you give the men the rest of the day off. Oh, but do bring them in tomorrow. The city must show its gratitude. Then everyone will know that everything has been done properly.
Yes, sir.
Vimes retrieved the summoning of dragons and Carrot's book of the law and gave them to the librarian for safekeeping. The next day, the room was wall to wall with civic dignitaries. The rank, after much deliberation, decided to ask the city for a reward consisting of, as the patrician put it,
A petty wage increase and a domestic utensil.
Because of the kettle that Errol ate.
Captain Vimes laughed and laughed and laughed until the tears came, and then the next day he went up to see Lady Ramkin at her home.
Where do you think they've gone? Errol and his, female?
Oh, somewhere isolated and rocky, I should imagine. Favorite country for dragons.
But she's a magical animal. What'll happen when the magic goes away?
Most people seem to manage. Your men think you need looking after.
Oh, do they?
Well, Sergeant Collins said he thought we'd get along like a maison en flambe.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yes, and he said something else. What was it now? Oh, it's 1,000,000 to 1 chance, but it just might work.
Oh.
And at that moment, it dawned on Vimes just how truly beautiful she really was in her own special category. And she had style and money and common sense and self-assurance and all the things that he didn't. And she had opened her heart. And if you let her, she could engulf you. The woman was a city. And eventually under siege, you did what Ankh-Morpork had always done. Unbar the gates, let the conquerors in, and make them your own. And back in the city, the newly promoted Corporal Carrot was making a conquest of his own.
Here we are, lads. 3 pints on the house.
Bloody hell, I never thought you'd do it. What'd you say to him?
Oh, I just explained how it was the duty of all good citizens to help the guard at all times.
Really? We'll make the most of it, lad, while it lasts. What a time,
If I never see any bloody king again, it'll be too soon.
Oh, I don't reckon he was the right king anyway.
Oh, there's no right kings.
No, but I mean, there's nothing special about having an ancient sword or a birthmark. I mean, look at me. I've got one on my arm. And I've got this sword.
It's a nice sword. Well balanced.
Yes, but not for kings. Kings' swords are big and shiny and magical and have jewels, and when you hold them up, they catch the light. Ting!
Yeah, except, well, maybe your real king would have a sword that didn't sparkle one bit, but was bloody efficient at cutting things up. I mean, just a thought.
Anyway, my father says being a king's too much like hard work. It's not the kind of thing for the like of us guards. You all right, Sergeant?
Yeah, best be off. What time is it?
About 12 of the clock.
Anything else?
And all's well?
Right, just testing.
You know, the way you say it, lad, you could almost believe it was true.
Let the eye of attention pull back. This is the disk, world and mirror of worlds, borne through space on the back of 4 giant elephants who stand on the back of great Atuan star turtle. On the far edge of the disk, the sun was rising. On the dark crescent, where the old light of sunset had barely drained from the deepest valleys, 2 specks, one big, one small, flew out of the shadow, skimmed low across the swells of the rim ocean, and struck out determinedly over the totally unfathomable, star-dotted depths of space. Perhaps the magic would last. Perhaps it wouldn't. But then, what does?
Guards, Guards was written by Terry Pratchett, adapted for audio and produced by David Benedict and directed by Thomas E. Fuller. Featured in the cast were the voices of Doug Kay, Brad Strickland, Jonathan Strickland, Phil Carter, Fiona K. Leonard, Daniel Whitworth Kiernan, Thomas E. Fuller, Trudy Leonard, Bill Jackson, Dina Friedman, Daniel Taylor, and John Rhys-Davies as Lupine Wonse. Additional voices provided by Ron N. Butler, David Benedict, Claire Whitworth Kiernan, Terry Sanders, Brad Lineweaver, and Karen Barrett as Errol. Live Foley effects created by Daniel Taylor, Jeff Baskin, Anthony Fuller, and Lily. Music composed and performed by Alton Leonard. Audio engineering by William Allen Rich, Henry Howard, Matt Ciccato, David Carter, Brad Weege, and Sonia. The floor manager was Helen Dennison. Special thanks go to Mr. Stephen Briggs, without whom the footnote might never have existed. This performance was made possible by the kind permission of Mr. Terry Pratchett and was produced in cooperation with the Orangutan Foundation International. If you would like to make a donation to the Orangutan Foundation, please stop by ARTC's fan table outside and ask for information, or visit www.orangutan.org. I am your announcer, David Benedict, and we are the Atlanta Radio Theater Company.
ARTC.org.